Greetings. My name is Susie Cardong-Edgren, and I am your current 2021-2022 INACSL President. Thank you for tuning in to the 2021 INACSL Annual Business Meeting. Before we begin, I would like to share a few pointers as we proceed. Please note there are many participants on this call, so as a courtesy to the presenters, all participants' telephone lines have been muted automatically. Any questions that you may have will be answered at the end of our presentation, but feel free to enter your questions into the Q&A box available on the Zoom dashboard at any time. You do not need to wait until the end of the business meeting to ask your questions. All questions will be answered in the order they were received. This meeting is being recorded and will be posted in the Member Center of the INACSL website within the upcoming weeks, so individuals who could not tune in can participate as well. You will notice a picture in the upper right-hand side of your screen. This is a picture of the board member who is currently speaking, and it will change throughout the duration of this presentation. INACSL's annual business meeting will now come to order. The agenda for today's meeting is the call to order, introduction of current board members, Vice President reports, and those include operations, membership, finance, research, international affairs, programs, and outreach. We will have a preview of 2022. There will be member questions, and then we will adjourn. I would like to introduce the INACSL Board of Directors to you. As you know, I am Susie Cardong-Edgren, the current president. Dr. Laura Gonzalez, President-elect, Dr. Janet Wilhouse, immediate past president, Dr. Elizabeth Robeson, Vice President for Finance, Dr. Carmen Turkelson, Vice President for Programs, Dr. Sabrina Baraz, Vice President for Membership, Dr. Mindy Anderson, Vice President for Operations, Dr. Elizabeth Wells-Bede, Vice President for Outreach, Dr. Ashley Franklin, Vice President for Research, Dr. Barbara Wilson-Keats, Vice President for International Affairs. I would like to give an overview of our strategic plan and update on the progress we have made over the past year. Our strategic plan focuses on three main areas: the member, the profession, and the association. You can find the full strategic plan roadmap on the INACSL website under About INACSL. In our focus on the member, we have conducted a membership survey in March 2021 to better understand the needs and wants of our members. You'll hear an update on those survey results later on. We have also been working with our top supporters from the INACSL 2021 conference to secure additional funding and find new opportunities for research support. Lastly, we have implemented equitable international pricing for INACSL membership and for conference registration to help support a broader international reach. In our focus on the profession, we have focused on developing and encouraging innovation within our INACSL 22 conference planning. You'll hear more about that, how that is going, later on in our meeting. We have also been creating new opportunities for INACSL sponsorship support and focusing on growing our industry partners. In our focus on the association, we established a new Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion DEI committee, named the Include Committee, to encourage and oversee these efforts within our association. We also made updates in summer 2021 to refine the responsibilities and assignments of our board members, as well as establish some changes to our committee structure. You will hear more about that in a minute. Another exciting update that drives forward our strategic plan overall is the release of the revised healthcare simulation standards of best practice this fall. The new healthcare simulation standards not only include two new standards, pre-briefing and professional development, they also have been rebranded to clarify that rather than being a set of criteria that is focused on nurses, they are fundamental texts and criteria for the healthcare simulation field as a whole. We are really excited about their release and the feedback we have heard already from our members and others within the community. I would also like to thank our hard-working Standards Committee who managed these updates and project over the past 3 years during a pandemic. Now to hear more about the changes INACSL is implementing to our board and committee structure, I would like to hand it over to the Vice President of Operations, Dr. Mindy Anderson.
I am Dr. Mindy Anderson. Next slide, please. To begin, I wanted to share more about the current bylaws that are out for review and the changes that we've made. Our bylaws were last reviewed in May 2019, and as a best practice, we review the bylaws on a periodic basis. This round of changes approved by the board in June of 2021 is primarily to change the structure of our board of directors to better align with our organization needs and requirements with our incorporation in the state of Texas. In order to determine the best structure for INACSL, the board consulted 2 other nursing professional organizations and considered their board structure and organizational chart as a model for the changes we made. At the board level, this resulted in the creation of a treasurer/secretary position on the board of directors, and also with changes to the title structure of our board members, going from vice presidents to directors. The bylaws are currently in the member review period for voting through November 30th. If you haven't already reviewed and voted on the changes, please consider doing so before the end of the month. Next slide, please. As part of this reorganization, we also reviewed our current committee structure and assignments and voted to restructure the INACSL standing committees in an effort to better align our committee's charges with the mission, vision, and strategic plan. We anticipate this change will open up additional bandwidth of our volunteers to focus strategically on building a stronger future. Our proposal is to reduce the number of standing committees from 21 to 13 by merging some committees into other standing committees and moving work associated with marketing and communications to our INACSL headquarters staff. Here you will see the proposed organizational chart for 2022. It shows these committee shifts as well as areas where INACSL headquarters staff will be managing work. Now I would like to turn it over to Dr. Sabrina Burrows, VP of Membership.
Thank you, Mindy. I am Dr. Sabrina Burrows, VP of Membership. Next slide, please. I would like to start by giving an update on the membership survey you heard about from Dr. Cardon Egrin. We sent out the survey to the full INACSL membership on March of 2021. It asked about various areas of membership needs and collected feedback about the overall performance of INACSL. You can see the response rate was 9%. The ideal would be closer to 15%, if not more. The most common area of feedback was around the INACSL website and the need to better organize for a better organization and usability. We're pleased to have addressed this feedback with the launch of the new website in this past September. The learning management system will launch later in the winter. We also heard from our members that they are looking for an increased focus on professional development and more virtual conferences and webinars. We're planning to offer a virtual component to this year's conference, and in 2022, we're exploring other ways to create online education and offerings in these areas. Next slide, please. Our INACSL membership continues to be strong with 1,939 members as of October 1. We anticipate continued growth and are on the track to end the year closer to our 2020 numbers. We're currently working on a membership renewal campaign to all members, which also includes recruitment efforts in the terms of reaching out to past lapsed members as well as those who have been engaged in INACSL courses or educational offerings, but are non-members. Here you will see a detailed breakdown of our membership. You'll see that 53% of our members are individual members and 41% are institutional. We have 3% that are lifetime individual members and 3% are students. Now I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Elizabeth Robinson for a financial update.
Thank you, Sabrina. Hello, I'm Dr. Elizabeth Robinson. With the help of the INACSL board and new staff, INACSL continues to manage our finances with strong numbers. 2021 continues to be a challenging year for the association due to the pandemic. INACSL saw a strong performance in our investment portfolio. We were also fortunate to be able to pivot to a virtual conference and rebook the 2021 conference hotel for a future year with no penalties. As of August 31st, our total liabilities and net assets totaled $1,002,385. INACSL continues to persevere in the face of economic downturn and remains financially healthy. A review of our annual income shows a breakdown for our revenue. 37% comes from our membership dues, 35% from the annual conference, and 23% from our education and programs, which includes webinars, ICEP, and best practice workshop. There is a small percentage which comes from the journal, ad sales, and job board. In reviewing our expenses, I have divided up our total annual expenses into several main categories. Operations, which includes staff, general administration, and membership services, accounts for 52%. The annual conference, 24%. Education and programs, 14%. Technology, which, as noted, includes the recent migration of the new website, is 6%. And lastly, the journal, industry relations, governance, and membership account for a small percentage of expenses. The last slide shows a graphic representation over time of our total net assets and total liabilities, with the last figure representing only through August 31st, as discussed in the first slide in terms of the financial overview for this year. Now I'd like to turn over to Ashley Franklin for the research updates.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And hello, my name is Dr. Ashley Franklin. And I want to give an update on some of the research initiatives and work of the research committee over the past year. In regards to the Deborah Spunt grant, we were able to award 3 grant recipients in 2021 who were recognized at our annual conference. The 2022 call for Deborah Spunt submissions closed on October 10th, and we are in the process of reviewing those submissions. We currently have 7 research fellows participating in the research fellowship program who have been assigned a mentor to support their project development, and they meet on a monthly basis. And to support the INACSL 2022 conference, to support the INACSL 2021 conference, we had 31 volunteers who helped to review 91 posters. Now I'd like to introduce Dr. Barbara Wilson-Keats to give an update on international efforts.
Thank you, Ashley. I am Dr. Barbara Wilson-Keats. Next slide, please. Our work to engage with our international population and increase our international membership has made great strides over the past year. I'd like to highlight a few of those. We have seen continued success of our regional interest groups with currently a total of 8 RIGs. We are planning to translate the newly released healthcare simulation standards of best practice into 7 languages. Those include Mandarin, Japanese, Korean, Polish, Spanish, Portuguese, and French. The International Committee and its members presented during the INACSL 2021 conference, and we are planning to present again during INACSL 22. As part of the new INACSL website, we have made international pricing more prominent and accessible for our international members. Now I would like to turn it over to immediate past president, Dr. Janet Wilhouse.
Thank you, Barbara. I'm Dr. Janet Wilhouse. Dr. Carmen Turkelson, our Vice President for Programs, was unable to attend today, so I'll be sharing our program updates. We hosted an incredibly successful virtual annual conference in June of this year. And while we had to make a move from a hybrid event to a fully virtual offering, we saw some incredible participation and were impressed with the work of the Conference Planning Committee to turn that event into a virtual event very quickly. The INACSL 2021 conference had 600 attendees and the opportunity to earn up to 35 CNE credits. Our attendees rated the conference at 4.47 out of a 5-point scale overall. Thank you so much to all of our Conference Planning Committee members, speakers, attendees, and all who helped us make this year's event so great. Next slide. And looking forward to next year, I'm pleased to share that planning for the INACSL 22 conference is already underway. Our call for abstracts is open now and will continue through November 5th. So you still have a little time to submit your presentation. Our Conference Planning Committee has already secured and is planning our 4 keynote sessions featuring our Hayden Vanguard lectureship, industry leading speakers, and they are planning a simulation Olympic style session, so don't miss that. The committee will be slating presentations and working on a schedule through the end of this year and into early 2022. And you can expect to see the full schedule by February of next year. Next slide, please. In regards to the INACSL Simulation Education Program, ISEP, we have welcomed a new ISEP director, Kathy Deckers. Kathy is working with our INACSL staff team to make updates to the current ISEP modules, which will launch with our new learning management system later this year. More to come on that in just a minute. In partnership with the National League for Nursing, we have also accepted 5 new homegrown solutions, which can be viewed on the INACSL website. And now I'd like to introduce Dr. Elizabeth Wells-Beatty, Vice President for Outreach.
Thank you, Janet. I am Dr. Elizabeth Wells-Beatty. This year, we took on an incredibly big project of completely redesigning and update the INACSL website. This was led by our website committee and INACSL staff. We've launched a brand new site with an improved navigation, clearer organization, and updated content, as well as a new member center within the website. We've heard positive feedback so far, and we are very pleased with the new look and feel. We are also hard at work on developing a new learning management system, the INACSL Center of Learning, which will launch in January 2022 as a new home for all INACSL education and learning modules. Now, I would like to turn over to President-elect Dr. Laura Gonzalez.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I am Dr. Gonzalez, and I'm pleased to share an update with you on the Healthcare Simulation Standards of Best Practice Endorsement Program. A volunteer task force is currently developing this new program, which is planned to launch in 2022. This program is designed to recognize healthcare institutions and practices that demonstrate excellence in applying the Core 4 simulation standards from the Healthcare Simulation Standards of Best Practice: pre-briefing, preparation and briefing, facilitation, professional integrity, and debriefing. Applicants will undergo an electronic submission process and submit materials that exemplify their adherence to the Core 4 healthcare simulation standards. If accepted, they will receive an official endorsement from INACSL. Now I would like to reintroduce Dr. Susie Carden-Egren to close out this year's annual business meeting.
Thanks, Laura. As you can see, we have had quite a year. While we are so proud of all that we have accomplished, we are also looking forward to 2022 and what we have in store. We are very hopeful to see you in person for INACSL 22 in Milwaukee to allow our community to come together for the first time in 2 years for a celebration of learning and networking. We're planning to launch the new learning management system and also launch an INACSL podcast series. The board will be going through a new strategic planning process to redefine our plan and priorities for the years to come. We will now open the floor for any questions. Please select the Q&A function at the bottom of your Zoom window to send a question. And I will say, since there is no Q&A function, that please go ahead and just enter questions in the chat or ask to speak.
It looks like Margie has her hand raised. Margie, do you have a question?
No, I just was trying to clap. I'm sorry. To say
Oh, no, that's great. Thank you.
very nice presentation. Thank you all.
We'll take claps. That's good. Thank you. Question from Soretta Spears. Will there be an official announcement regarding the INACSL endorsement process and program? Oh, yes, there will be. The teams are still working on the Core 4 and the initial trial run of the Core 4 standards, et cetera. So we want to, when we really release it, we want it to be ready to go. So do expect that we will be putting out a call asking for places that might like to trial run this with us. And I know that Laura might have more to say on that. Laura, would you like to say something about that?
I think you covered it well. Thank you very much, Susie.
Okay.
As you know, we do have 4 international teams, by the way, that are developing the criteria that will be used for the assessment, if you will. And yes, we are going to be piloting it once our criteria is in place, and we will be looking for volunteers. Programs, I should say.
Great. So KT Waxman has asked, do you have a goal of what percentage of revenue you want from the annual meeting versus membership? What is the goal? That's probably an Elizabeth and a Janae question. Great question, KT. And I would say yes, but I can't tell you what it is right now. As with many organizations, we're trying to build back our resources. Thank God for Carol Durham and the board back when Carol was president that helped us really get going with our savings account and our investments so that we could weather the storm that did happen, because we call it the rainy day fund. And I would say the pandemic was pretty much a rainy day for everybody. So we survived, we're thriving. And I wonder if Elizabeth has anything they'd like to say, or Janae from her perspective as our executive director.
So this is Elizabeth. I just wanted to say that typically the majority of our revenue, where we produce revenue, is through our annual conference. We don't expect this time to have that same as we had pre-pandemic, but we hope to get close. Our membership revenue is going to stay static because we haven't increased dues. And so we do hope to increase membership. So we should see a rise in membership revenue. But in terms of it increasing, it will totally depend on increasing the membership. And we're already seeing that now, where we're pleasantly surprised that we've hit past the 2,000 mark. So yes,
well, thank you.
Get the word out to attend the conference, because that is really our money producing event.
Well, I was very pleased to see that pie chart. As a member, I was very happy to see that you are thriving because everyone, was worried. And I think going forward, you have a really good plan to, have a virtual component and an in-person component, and then have other products that you're being able to bring revenue in with. So I think it's very, very nicely balanced, and great work to you and the board and your team.
Yes,
Good job.
definitely a team effort. Thank you, Katie.
Katie, the only thing that I'll add before we move on is to your point of creating some new products and services in 2022. So we may see those percentages shift a little bit as we release new products and services, which isn't a bad thing. Obviously, any revenue in the door, we're going to be pleasantly pleased with. But notice that in 2022, some of that pie chart might shift a little based on some of our new programs that will be available.
Yeah, and I just want to say, because we have changed management companies, we have resources available to us now that we really have never had before, and so that's really helpful to us to evaluate what's important and where we need to, put our investments as far as new programs and old programs, whether we continue old programs, sunset old programs, that kind of thing. So it's really good to have a new set of eyes and a new set of resources.
Question from Ponce de Leon. Being that a large percentage of funds are stemming from ISEP, are there plans to extend institutional offers to faculty leaders?
I can just comment on that a little bit. I don't think that's something that we've explored quite yet as a board, but I think that's a great recommendation and something that we can take back at the board level and talk through in a little bit more detail. We are making some logistical changes to ISEP in 2022. We'll be shortening the program. Currently, it is a 12-month program, and we're going to be rolling out the 6-month program in 2022 with the cohort that will kick off in January. We have some facilitator shifts on the horizon, and Kathy Deckers, who is the new ISEP director, has a bunch of new ideas up her sleeve. So a lot of positive changes to come to ISEP to continue to drive the revenue for that program.
And thank you for that question. And it's dawning on me, Janae, have we ever formally introduced you as the executive director of this? I know not in a business meeting, I don't think. So we were delighted to get Janae Lindsay from Smith Buckland, our management company. And Janae, want to tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I recognize a lot of faces and names. So I know I've already worked closely with a lot of you, but it's great to meet anyone who we haven't been able to connect yet. As Susie mentioned, my name is Janae Lindsley, and I work with INACSL as the executive director through Smith Buckland, who is your new management company. I've been with Smith Buckland just over 7 years and worked entirely only with nursing organizations. So very familiar with membership, nonprofit nursing organizations, and really looking forward to working with INACSL to continue, driving all of these great initiatives forward. And there's some really exciting things coming in 2022.
Thanks, you very much. Thank you, Janae. Any other questions from the audience, or anything you've always wondered and been too shy to ask? You can put in chat or speak up. We're here for you.
Hey, Susie, this is Penny. I'm not going to chat. I just wanted to say thank you to the board and to everyone in Smith Buckland for the great work and support for the Standards Committee, but also for the organization. This last year or two has been great, and we appreciate your efforts. And I know Janet's on here somewhere. I can't see her on my screen, but yeah, it's an exciting time for INACSL. So thank you for all that you guys do.
Thank you so much. We sense great things coming too. So looking forward to it. And again, the pandemic was horrible, but really demonstrated the value of INACSL. If we hadn't had it, we would have had to invent it, and it would have been a lot rougher going all the way along because we wouldn't have had all the research background that we had. And we had a really good foundation, especially with the new standards out for what was going to happen. And when we had to say before, we don't have enough information to be talking about screen-based SIM or VR and AR. Oh my gosh, we certainly did a lot of it during that time. And what I think we're seeing is that it will not go away, and that many of the standards that were already in place seem to be working well with screen-based simulation or VR and AR. So we were well situated scientifically to be able to manage that. So we have another comment. Thank you for updating standards and including professional development as a new standard. Heard that over and over again. We agree 100%. Good job, Penny and team. I've made it my mission to educate administration about the importance of faculty development and simulation. If we had one message for everybody, is if you've only got so much money to spend, spend it on your people. Don't spend it on the equipment, because the people are what are going to make it work no matter what. So that's great. And Mindy, do you want to pipe in and say something there? We want to get a word in edgewise.
No, I just wanted to thank everybody for all of their hard work on the standards.
Oh, and we'll be looking for some new members here in the next 6 months or so. So, be paying attention. So.
Yeah, I think going back to what Susie was saying about the pandemic, as we are going through it, or as we were in the middle of it, it seemed like you either had to claw your way out or you were going to disappear. And I really think that it created an opportunity for us to look at new ideas and move forward and improve and do new things. So yeah, I don't want to go through it again or anymore, but I do think that it is part of what has propelled us forward. And I don't think anybody's mentioned this, but our membership numbers are up, which is a really good thing. And we've not been over 2,000 members for quite a while, but we are now. We're getting more members. So I think that people are needing that support.
Agree. And KT says, in California, as we continue to change our regulations, we ask all schools and hospitals to budget for professional development. Awesome. And the standards were so very timely for us to include in potential legislation as evidence. That is awesome. Sometimes timing is everything. So true, so true. So Penny Watts has asked, have you all seen changes in the Board of Nursing regulations for simulation replacing clinical time? I'm not aware of any myself right now. Anybody aware of anything on the call or from the board?
Yeah, I'll say here in Wyoming, we're a small state, but the board is it's taken them 10 years, but yet they're making some changes now. So we all know how long it takes for research to get into practice. But we're starting to see that here, and I know other states who are perhaps a little faster on the draw are already making some changes.
Well, this is a red letter day because Penny Watts put in the chat that Alabama is moving towards 50%, waiting for approval. That is like the second coming, I have got to say, because they really did not like the big study and critiqued it heavily. And we're not pleased. So that's quite something. And Julie Fomenko says we're still stuck at 30% in Oklahoma. Times are changing. People are moving. It's all good. And remember that it's not just percentage, it's qualified faculty who've been trained, excellent scenarios that are vetted, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of extra pieces that go with that. And sometimes we don't have it all in place right away. It is a worthy goal to strive for. And she says, but working with our legislature, which is what you have to do. So great news, Julie. Anybody else have anything? Okay, KT, why don't you just talk?
You're on mute, KT.
I will try to talk, but I do have some background noise. So in the state of California, we're at 75% for med-surg and OB, and 50%, I mean, peds and OB, and 50% for med-surg. And we are writing legislation. I'm meeting with legislators to make us not go back to the old way, which was 25%. So we're trying to ride the wave and provide evidence. And I have to sign off because I have too much noise.
Okay, that's great. KT has really been managing California with the California Stimulation Alliance to help move things along. And it is a hard slog because the board is not helping much at all. So she's really working through the legislature, and she is doing a lot of education. So she's like, she and her organization are like a one-man show. They're just out there really working it. So thank you so much for what you're doing, KT. And they're opposing the union too, which is, you would think they would like Sam. It's just confusing. And Sabrina says, INACSL has the regulatory map on the website that's available for all. And it is like hitting a moving target to try to keep it up to date, but they're doing the very best they can. And as things change, and they are, it's good for simulation and good for nursing education, good for patients and patient safety. So, and Kimberly Gard says Indiana is still in the dark ages. Kimberly, you're not alone. Many places are like you, and we will help you come out of the dark ages along the way. Isn't that funny? Because that's kind of like the home of Pam Jeffries at Indiana University, kind of the mother of nursing simulation. So ironic. Any other last minute comments or anything before we let everybody go? Kimberly, are you going to say something?
I was just going to agree with you. I think it's ridiculous, but here we are.
Yeah, we know. We've all been there at some point. So we feel your pain, and many of us don't have that pain anymore. We might have other pains, but not that. Let's see. And Julie Fomenko says, appreciate we have a body out there advocating for us and helping us advocate. Actually, it's our members who are doing the research and the standards committee for collating all of that research and writing them into standards that are understandable and usable by industry to help simulation move forward. So really, it all comes down to the standards committee yet again, the most important committee really that we have. And then our outreach committee internationally is taking that word out into the wide world. So thank you. Really, it's a village, and it's all of our organization. And we invite you to volunteer, to participate in what we're doing, and to consider committee work and perhaps running for the board. And Penny says maybe Alabama will lead the trend. That could be. So, okay, so Jenny, are you thinking we should take this horse to the barn?
I think we're ready. I'll just add, if you do have any questions that you didn't feel comfortable asking with this audience today, please feel free to email the INACSL inbox or any of the individual board members. We're always happy to answer any questions offline as well.
And just as a final thing, please vote on the bylaws and encourage your coworkers and colleagues to vote as well.
Thank you. So true. And this will be put up on the website, correct, Jenny, so that other people can see it, or will it be sent out as a link to everybody?
We can include it in the next current news, but it will also be available on the website.
Great, that's wonderful. We like that. So that people can see this, because we have 31 of our 2,100 members here today. So we're delighted that we were here. We actually were up to 37 at one point, but thank you for those people who could make time in their busy day to participate. And we look forward to other people seeing this video also. So thank you so much for coming. Bye-bye.